Dear brothers and sisters, God the Creator is with each and every one of us. As we grow, somehow all of our traditions are talking about God being overhead. And so we feel that God is away. We have this feeling that God is like unreachable. We can't approach God. And so we have put this barrier between ourselves and God. It is very difficult for us to understand the manifestations of the divine. For us to understand that God is within each of us is very difficult because we are used to doing like one thing at a time. One of the analogies could be, as the computers came in and you had the systems where you could do multitasking. So your computer, iPads, phones, you can do this thing and this thing and this thing at the same time. So you get a little glimpse of what really is there. It's very difficult for us to understand that the Creator is the one who is taking care of us. Because we, as we pass through life, all start to feel that it is our effort that makes us gain what we're going to get. Not realizing there's a gift of God that puts us in that state in which we find ourselves today. And so as we start to think about our spiritual life, as we start to think about the spiritual journey, the key is to find the oneness with God. Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj very beautifully said in one of the verses, he says, "Milega रूह को परवाज दे के देख जरा, करीब है उसे आवाज दे के देख." He says, you will surely find God. All you have to do is give a flight to your soul. And the flight to the soul comes when we meditate, when we are still, when the body is still and the mind is still. So we need to get to that state, whether they call it meditation or praying with attention or sitting in silence. These are names given in different faiths and different traditions for that journey that takes us from the physical to the divine. So Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj is saying that you surely find God. You have to give a flight to your soul. That God is closer to you than your jugular vein. What you have to do is to call out to God. And calling out to God is Simran, repeating God's name, so that our attention is focused on God. Whatever we focus on attention on, that's what we become. And so, as we look at our lives, the more attention we put on God, the more we're repeating God's name, the more chances are there for us to be coming closer and closer to God. And so as we start to look at our lives, the words of the great saints are always there to guide us towards our goal. So I'd like to take a verse of Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj, which really talks about the presence of God in each and every one of us. So here Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj is saying, he says, "Baithe baithe khud mujhe hota hai aksar ye guma." बैठे बैठे खुद मुझे होता है अक्सर ये गुमा, नगमा गर मुतरिब कोई दिल के तरफ खाने में है. नगमा गर मुतरिब कोई दिल के तरफ खाने में है. So when we translate this into English, it is, while sitting I often have the realization. So while sitting, I often have the realization that the one who created the celestial music resides in my heart. And so Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj is telling that while sitting, and when he's talking about sitting, he's talking about meditation, while sitting in meditation. And so while sitting in meditation, as we meditate properly, and as we start to soar into the inner spiritual regions, then with time we start to have the realization that the creator or the celestial music, which is originating from the creator, which could be called the Naam or the Shabd or the holy word. Even in the Bible it is said, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And so statements like that are also available in other scriptures of the world. Kabir Sahib has said, Awwal Allah, Noor Upaya, Kudrat ke sab bande, Ek Noor te, Sab Jag upja. Kaun bhale kaun mande, which as we translate in English will be, in the beginning was God. We can call God as Jehovah, as Paramatma, as Ishwar, as Allah, as Vaheguru. You can call God by any name. And from God came this creative power, which is called Naam or Shabd, or the holy word, or the light and sound of God. And that brought all creation to being, and many regions were created. And so Kabir Sahib is saying, who are we to say that this is good and this is bad? This is up and this is down. Because everything came from God, everything is good. And that's the vision of the saints. To know that everything is good. And it's just our vision which makes us think that things are bad, or things are not correct. Because we grow up in an environment, we learn that culture, we start to think everything should happen like it happens in our culture. And so when we see something contrary to what we expect, then we get devastated. So here, Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj is saying that while sitting I often have the realization understanding comes in many ways. Let's say you're in a class of physics or any other subject. Now, the concepts are taught to us, and then we think about them. And as we think, we start to think in the words of the languages that we know. Yeah. So as we think about those concepts, then we start to understand them. Okay? But in meditation, the concepts are very clear. The basic concept of creation and ourselves and the relationship with God and the way back to God are very clear. First is that God the Creator created everything in God's will. Yeah. So that's the first thing to understand. That everything in creation has been created by the Creator. So there are various planes of existence which were created when this creative power of God started to create. The second thing to understand is that as this creation was created, it needed to be populated. Because if we create something and there's no one there, then what's the point of creation? If we have created, let's say, Chicago area and no one lives there, what's the point of having Chicago? Might as well be in New York. So when you create something, you need to populate it. So to populate the creation, God the Creator took parts of God and sent them in to inhabit these regions. And those parts of the Creator are called souls. Soul, Atma, in different names, Ruh, these are various names which are used for the soul. They're a part of God. Now, as these lower regions were created too, when you say lower, it's like a more materialistic region, it's a better word. There's no upper or lower, everything is at the same time. So it's not like, here's this one and this one, it's not like that. Everything's occurring at the same time. And so there's the regions which are totally spiritual, and then some spiritual with some matter, and then equal amounts of matter and spirituality. More matter than spirituality, and then very little matter, or very little spirituality. So there are various regions which are created. And to be able to survive in these regions, the soul was given coverings. So he could survive there. Just like, when we live in a warm area, we only maybe wear one shirt. As we go to cooler area, on the shirt we have a sweater, we might have a coat, we might have an overcoat. We get layers so that the body can operate. Similarly, for the soul to operate, it's been given all of these coverings. Okay. Now, when the soul finds itself in the human body, we experience there are other forms of life too. Because we see birds, we see animals, we see fish, we see insects, and the soul transmigrates in them too. And so the human existence has been called the roof and crown of all creation, of all of these 8.4 million species. Because in the human existence, to all human beings, whether they're born in one faith or another, whether they're born in one part of the world or another, everyone has an opening here, the single or the third eye, between and behind the two eyebrows, which opens into the spiritual regions. All of other opening, the eyes, our ears, nose, all of these senses are opening to the world outside, so we can operate in this world. But we've all been given this spiritual eye, which opens into the regions beyond, so that as we learn the techniques of focusing our attention here at the seat of the soul, that we will get uplifted, or we will get into other regions of creation. And with help and guidance, as this single eye is opened through the grace and attention of the spiritual master, then we are able to be guided into the more spiritual regions which are occurring concurrently with this region of ours. Yeah. So God the Creator is there. As human beings, a part of God is keeping us alive, that's our soul. And all saints and mystics have talked about that the way to get back to God is love. It's to love God. This is in all of those traditions. Tulsi Sahib has said, he said, Prem gali ati sankri, jame do na samay. He's saying the lane of love that we need to walk on, our love for God. As we walk on that lane of love, it says the lane of love is very narrow. So if you're two, you cannot walk in that lane. It only has space for one. So it's telling us, if there's duality, if we think we are separate from God, then we've created this duality, that there's us and there's God. He can't walk on that lane back to God. So you need to be in a state where you find that oneness, that us and God is one and the same. when we have that realization, then we are going to be able to meet the Maker. And so this verse here is talking about that realization. It's not something that happens by thinking or by words of any language. It's an experience. So there's a difference of understanding and there's a difference of realization. Okay? Understanding can happen by thinking, by reading, by learning, by putting this and like 2 plus 2 is 4 and 4 plus 4 is 8 and blah 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 blah. So that's like understanding, because these are concepts. And so you build on one concept and get to the next concept, you get to the next concept. Okay? But an experience is what makes us realize something, and that experience can happen at any time. It can happen to anybody. What is needed is that we be receptive. If we're receptive, we'll have the experience. So it's like a question of our receptivity. It's a question of how much effort are we putting in. It's a question of what are the ethical virtues that we've really inculcated in our being. And it's not that things have to be sequential. Okay? And that's the realization that we have as we sit in meditation. Because sometimes we'll sit in meditation, we get fly-light. Other times you can sit and you get to the radiant form of the Master right away. These are the lucky people. But you get there, and there are many, many experiences that happen. Someone asked Hazur Baba Sant Singh Ji Maharaj, how long does it take to go to Sachkhand? So he closed his eyes and said, I went there, came back. Okay? So he was way up there, so he could do that. Okay? So it's a question of our realization, it's a question of our connection with the Creator. The more we are focused on the Creator, the faster, time-wise, is our spiritual journey. So what Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj is saying, he's saying, while sitting in meditation, I often have this realization. He says, when I sit in meditation, then I have this realization. It's not sequential. So it happens when you sit in meditation. So all of these verses written when he was a disciple. Okay? And he was going on the spiritual journey. And so he wrote about his own experiences. And he wrote as to what those experiences were, and he left them for us so that we who are going on the spiritual path do understand the ups and downs or the idiosyncrasies of the spiritual path. That it's not necessary that you have to go this one first and this one next and this one next. Depending on your focus, depending on your fine-tuning your technique, depending on how much time you give on a regular basis, you can reach your goals quickly. So he says that often, while sitting, I often have the realization. And what is the realization? That the one who created the celestial music, that the Creator, we all, when we think about music, we all listen to music in different ways. Some people listen to music because their speakers are loud. So it might come from whatever source it comes in, you have some speaker and you're listening. Other people put like headphones on their head and they connect it, or nowadays there's all these other things that are happening, so you don't even need a wire and you can listen to music. And many times we go to a concert to listen to music. It could be an orchestra, it could be a concert, we might go to an opera hall to listen to music. So we always think of music as coming from someplace and receiving it. If it's a tape or a radio station or something, it's been transmitted to us. So we think that the source of that music is far away. Okay? Even when we go to a program, we're sitting in the audience and the orchestra is playing on the stage. So we find the difference that it's coming from someplace else. Okay? And also, the concept that most people have, like God the Creator being overhead, we feel the music is put by God overhead and is somehow transmitted to us, and most people feel that we are receivers. Yeah. And that's generally the understanding when you think about connecting with music. But Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj is pointing something very different here. He's saying that the one who created the celestial music, which is the Creator, resides in my heart. And when the saints in that tradition, when they talk about the heart, they're talking about the soul. So they interchange, the heart and soul is one and the same. So Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj is saying that when I sit in meditation, and when I hear this blissful celestial music, which maybe sometime before I used to think, oh, God is overhead and God is sending this music and I'm tuning into it. That's not the case. He's saying I had that realization that the Creator is sitting with me. The Creator is within me, and the Creator is producing the celestial music, the symphonies and the melodies, one after another, which are unending. So that realization that God is not far away, that God is with us, happens as we sit in silence. As we get all the distractions away from us, then we get to the state where we do experience the presence of the Creator in our own being. And that is the key. If we think of God being overhead, then you're always wondering, when you sit in meditation and you don't experience what you think you should, then you say, oh, maybe God is very busy helping people and God has no time to come to me. That's what we generally think, because when we don't receive what we want to receive, the feeling is, oh, God must be very busy, there's so many, not only human beings, so many other living forms, and they all need help, and God is taking care of everyone, which is very good, and maybe, my chance didn't come. We have to console ourselves. Okay? So, but Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj is revealing actually the truths of spirituality. God is not far away from us. God is like within us. And this realization you can't have by reading anything or listening to a talk or by any other means. You have to have that experience yourself. If you just read it, it won't sink in. But if you have the experience, then you know that this is how it works. And so that realization, and this we find in many verses of Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj. Like in the other verse he wrote, God is closer to us than our jugular vein. The God is within us. And here also is writing that I had that realization when I was sitting in meditation, that the one who created everything, that the one who created the holy word or the Naam or the Shabd, that the one who created all creation is not anywhere on the outside, is within myself. And that's the key. And when you have that realization, the life becomes beautiful. For one, if you know God is with you, you can't do anything wrong anyway. Sometimes we do wrong things, we think, hey, no one's watching us. No. If you remember that God the Creator is with you 24 hours a day, then you'll find that your ethical life will get better. And as you meditate on a regular basis and as you connect with the divine power of God within yourself, then you'll also find the joys of being with the celestial music, with the divine light and sound of God. And then you'll want to be in that state more and more. I mean, the purpose of life is to be with God. Now, if we know God is within, and we don't focus there, we can think we are very intelligent, we can think we are very smart, we can think we've done really well in life, but if we don't connect with God, this life is a waste. And as we do that, we'll be able to reach our goals very, very quickly. So let's end with a short meditation. I know you've had a long one already. So please sit as comfortably as you can. Close your eyes very gently, just like you close them when you go to sleep. Your eyeballs should be straight, focus 8 to 10 inches in front of you. And as you close your eyes, those of you who have been initiated in the mysteries of the beyond, please do your Simran. And those of you who are new here, please repeat any name of God that you feel comfortable with. This repetition of God's name should be done mentally and not out loud. I pray to God Almighty to help each and every one of us here connect with the divine power within and to experience the divine light within ourselves. We'll be sitting for a few minutes, and may the blessings of the three spiritual masters of the past century, Hazur Baba Sawan Singh Ji Maharaj, Param Sant Kapal Singh Ji Maharaj, and Dayal Prasanna Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj, be with each and every one of you. We'll be sitting for a few minutes. I'll be getting out of this meditative state. And my best wishes are with each and every one of you. Please leave off. Please leave off.